So I was at the Macy's in Staten Island Mall about a month or two ago, and I was looking for some new releases when my wife and I stumbled upon the brand new Marc Jacobs Perfect Eau De Toilette. I have the original, which came out in 2020. My wife smelled it, she loved it, but I spent a little bit of time with it as well, and today I'm going to tell you what I think of it, so make sure to stay tuned. Before I begin today's video and I give you my thoughts on the brand new, actually came out towards the tail end of last year, 2022, Marc Jacobs Perfect Eau De Toilette, I want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. Now, the perfumer for both of these is Domitille Berthier. She's a very accomplished perfumer. She's done tons and tons of fragrances. She's also done the original Marc Jacobs Perfect, and I know there has been one flanker in between these two. But here we have the Eau De Toilette. And in my experience, Eau De Toilettes are typically a bit more diffusive, fresher, a bit more volatile. Not the same longevity as an Eau De Parfum. We'll certainly see if that's the case here. But I was taking a look at the note breakdown and comparing the two. So the new one actually has pink pepper in there. The old one doesn't really have pink pepper from what I remember. There also is an ingredient called polygonum, which is also known as knotweed or knotgrass, I think if I remember correctly. And it's said to give off a very sort of herbal green smell. The original, though, has cashmeron and almond. Those are two ingredients that I personally gravitate towards. So I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the brand new Eau De Toilette. Let's go ahead and start things off with a quick look at the presentation. Now, of course, I didn't want to turn this into much of a comparison video, but of course, given the fact that I do have both the original and the latest flanker, I did want to give you my opinion on it, especially if you're looking at this kind of from a consumer standpoint. If you like the original, is it worth it to pick up the Eau De Toilette? For me, I think it's going to be contingent on a number of different things. One, the DNA is not so far separated from one another. So if you like the DNA of the original, I'm going to go ahead and say you're going to find something quite similar with the Eau De Toilette. However, with the original, it is a bit deeper and warmer and richer, smoother, a bit more on that silky, smooth, ambery side of things. I think the cashmeron has a lot to do with that. In terms of the almond that's in here, I'm not getting a strong almondy vibe. I do think that the motif kind of connecting or bridging the two is the narcissus. And I think that's also one of the reasons why my wife enjoys this one so much. She loves freesia, she loves narcissus, she loves a lot of heady floral ingredients, not a fan of the clean, wispy, ephemeral florals like gardenia and jasmine. So I think that's the reason why my wife really enjoyed this one. And I think also kind of operating under the premise or the understanding that the weather is expected to get a bit more warm once the spring arrives. I think that's one of the reasons why I ended up purchasing the Eau De Toilette for her. But I do find the Eau De Toilette to be a little bit lighter, a little bit fresher. I thought there was a bit more citrus in the opening to kind of make it pop, give it that added layer of effervescence. I looked at the note breakdown. There's actually no citrus in here. So it's just pink pepper, narcissus, polygonum, and then in the base, there's kind of like this cedarwood vibe. Although I do kind of pick up on like a clean, musky vibe. And I'm going to go as far as saying that the Eau De Toilette has cashmeron in it as well. Even though it's not listed in the note breakdown, I am definitely getting something silky, smooth, a bit warm. Not as warm as the original though. So I think if you like the density of the fragrance, your go-to is going to be the original. Now having the two side by side and smelling them, I think the one with the more gregarious, the more noticeable presence is the original. So I'm not too crazy about the Eau De Toilette. However, if you want something that at least for the first couple hours is going to be a bit more diffusive and generally speaking in the same territory as the DNA of the original, check out the Eau De Toilette, right? Especially if you want to be able to tell people you're wearing the most recent release from the brand. If you're a collector and you really, really like the original, then it might behoove you to pick up the flankers, right? And the Eau De Toilette is the most recent one. But ultimately, it opens up with a bit of freshness. It has this narcissus note in here. It's not overly pronounced. There is a sort of herbal, starchy quality about it. At one point, I thought it might have been like a really, really clean and subdued orris root. There's no orris in here, at least not according to the note breakdown, but it kind of gives off this green, starchy, kind of a floral aspect about it that I really enjoy. At some points, it reminded me of a very, very weak B by Balenciaga, which is now discontinued. But it does have a bit of those musky properties, which I really, really enjoy. And of course, you give it a chance to dry down and, you know, the woodsy aspects become a bit more transparent, but it's in no way a woody overdose or anything like that. The cedar wood just plays like the ever so mild supporting role in the dry down. But it's a clean floral fragrance. It took narcissus, it cleaned it up. I mean, it's a pretty clean floral to begin with, but it's not as heady as it is in some other compositions. So if that sounds appealing to you, check it out. My preference is the original. My wife loves wearing the Eau De Toilette, so who am I to stop her? Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, they smell like 85% similar, so they are closely related. So at least in that sense, it is a true flanker. Overall smell, very, very pleasant. You're not going to offend anybody. You will turn heads in a positive way if you're wearing this one. And also, don't be afraid to over apply. It's not a very strong fragrance. If you typically do 4 or 5 sprays, you can do upwards of 7 or 8 sprays. Believe me, you're not going to offend anybody. It's a very gentle, very safe, easygoing, mass appealing fragrance. Longevity on it is about 6 hours on my skin, 6 to 7 hours on a good day. Projection was really good for the first hour and a half of application. It radiated beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 4, a skin scent right around hour 6 or 7. In terms of the versatility, definitely gives off a casual vibe. I don't think I would wear this in a formal scenario. It is feminine leaning. It's marketed for women, but I do find it to be a bit feminine leaning. I think it's great for the warmer weather, generally speaking. So spring and summer is really where it's at. And I can see somebody a little bit younger really appreciating this fragrance. It does kind of have this youthful appeal about it. Presentation, even with the presentation, I kind of like how colorful the original cap is with the green, the red, the blue, the yellow. As you can see, it has a really nice presentation to it. This one also has the red and well, the banana is gold here, and you have the baby blue hues, and it's a bit more muted, I suppose. But in any case, it's just a matter of personal preference, right? As people say, it's the juice inside that counts. My final verdict is it's a lighter version of the original, gives it the impression of having a bit more citrus up on top. It's not as warm, it's not as ambery or sweet. It doesn't have as much of an emphasis on the cashmeran as the original. And even when it came to the almond in the original, I didn't get a very photorealistic almond fragrance. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this one. Check it out if you can. I purchased my bottle from Macy's. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you took something of value from today's video. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.